Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Please let me know if you can hear me. I'm on a different computer. I had issues this morning, so I had to set up a backup. Hopefully the sound is coming through crystal clear. A different mic, different everything, so just trusting that the setup is working. Markets are open, so we got our eyes on the Dowie Mini up in the upper right-hand corner. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate that. Good morning, John, Ron, Miles. All right, nice to see you guys. Hope you had a nice weekend. Hello, Manuel. Excellent. Thanks for joining me this morning, guys. Different charts. Well, I got the micro crude in the bottom right-hand corner, just what I had on this particular computer. Thought it might be interesting to look at, examine the volume on it. Don't forget, this Thursday will be the last day that we will be interested in trading, or that you should be trading, the December contracts for the E-minis. We'll have to roll over to March 2022. Short on the YM, heads up, 34,882. Stop is at 921. First target is the primary objective, 34,850. And target 2, of course, 833. And the money management level at 853. Take a quick look here. I've got some stuff we don't need. Let me just disable that. All right, that orange line, first objective, we get there, we move our stops to break even. Can it get there? Very good, John. Hey, John, not sure if you saw a Slack message I sent you, but if you get a chance, I have a question for you. Take a look at that when you have time, please. Working on some new Catapult Trader modules. Getting pretty excited about. Have more news on that in the coming days. All right, so keep an eye on the Dowie Mini here. May come up and test those highs. Maybe it makes a lower high here. Let's see. Just checking out our 9 a.m. crude oil. So there was a short on crude, and it ended up hitting its target. You get in sync here. One of these right around 9. Actually, the entry was at 9 there. So it came down and hit its first objective for 20 cents, $200 a contract. And crude oil was one and done. Heads up, the YM is stopping out on us, unfortunately. Could not quite get down to its money management level. So crude oil one and done. Dowie Mini making us work a little harder. Nothing on the pound Aussie. It's in a short. It's been short for quite some time this morning. The Russell has been moving lower. There's another short on the YM, 34,888, triggering in, heads up. And that one's targeting 855, and the stop's at 927. So maybe the failure to get higher, it did break out to a new high with no follow through. It's usually a good setup to go short. We'll see if this one works better. Money management is down here now. $8.59. That first trade losing 39 points. You may want to go to target 2 and see if you can make it up on the second trade here. And it did just hit its money management and target 1. And let's see if we can get to our target 2, and it's getting closer. You see what happened there? This is the great preliminary pre-setup, so to speak, for a good short. Move your stop to 881. Good morning, Pamela. And now 876, hopefully hiding around that quarter century number at 75 will keep us in for push lower. You can expect the price to maybe come down and test this 200 moving average. Let's see if it will. We could stay in this trade. The stop just moved down to 872. I would keep it at 872. It moved down to 68, but I would try to hide it above. Keep it at 872. See if we could stay in this. Well, now, yeah, I'd still keep it there. And it did stop out. Okay, well, we gave up a few ticks trying to stay in the trade. Just missed target 2 by a few ticks there, but that trade's done. Maybe need a third trade to get to power of quitting. But I want you to see this type of short, because this is the kind of trade, if you see it when it happens, you should feel confident in it. How it came up, broke over the resistance, broke through barely, and then instantly rejected. No follow through. And that set up a good trade down, which almost got to a target 2. Looks like it's probably going to get there. We just don't have a setup. If you have Counterpunch Trader, you'd have a setup. Have a purple trade right here. Counterpunch Trader, Counterpunch Express. It's going to look like that. Unleaded gas, didn't look at that one yet. We'll keep an eye on YM. Still need another trade. So unleaded got short and also hit targets. It hit its first target for 53 ticks and then stopped out. So one and done on both our energy contracts here with Spotlight Master Suite. And just a quick look now at the micro. Could have a yellow. Let's see, on the micro, we got 45,000 contracts already on the micro crude. That's not bad. I mean, that's totally tradable. And that one and done this morning. Anyone interested in trading that? Also, this 8-tick momentum bar. Similar to the full crude contract, not exact. That is a short on the YM. I'd put it in at 828. If you didn't grab that at 829, put your entry at 828. The stop is at 861. And that's targeting 806 with money management at 809. If it could push through, it's got to get through. This looks like it's a little bit choppy in here. Some indecision, and it did just stop out. So hopefully this triggered in too quickly and you missed that. I don't know why that keeps popping up. It's rather annoying. See if I can get that fixed. Yeah, that's great on Catapult CL, Ron. I need to get a chart pulled up on that. I find that I end up with so many things, it's hard to follow them all. There's the first setup on the pound Aussie. It's a long trade, 8836. We always make that adjustment around the fives. 8836. Nice size targets, 54, 65, 76, and 87. And the stop is at 8808. MES looking good too. That's great, Don. I probably need to do something with this chart in the upper left corner and see about some other charts. We were looking at that NQ. Let me see if I could grab that. I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the stuff I'm working on. This is the NQ, the custom Renko chart. By the way, that is a long on the YM. If anyone's still trading the YM, coming up to test those swing highs. Well, not quite, but let's push this up a little. Getting long at 883. Stop at 849. YM's been a little tricky this morning. Money management is at 905. Right there. So hitting money management, if you're in the YM, move your stop to break even. Definitely choppy. Let's see if it's going to push higher. A lot of indecision this morning on the YM, and it did just stop out for one tick. I would say probably enough trades on that. If you want to keep, let me know if you're trading the YM with Spotlight. You can keep watching it if you'd like. The NQ, yeah, that's unfortunate. Sometimes it helps to move your money management stop below the blue line instead of going to a one tick break even. Use the blue line to hide it behind. That would have led to this really nice trade. The blue line is the 20 simple moving average, an SMA, and it does a really great job of marking pullback zones. So hiding the stop behind it, not a bad idea. Certainly you could see here how that would have helped this trade. So I keep coming back to this custom Renko chart. And the way I've got it set up is with Catapult. Works well with Counterpunch also. So one of the things I've noticed is that the setups always seem to land on the third dot for our exhaustion dots with either Counterpunch or Spotlight. Coincidentally, it's usually the same setup bar as a Catapult bar as well. So you got some corroborating price action helping out here with exhaustion levels. And if you know anything about the green trade on Counterpunch, you know that when it sets up close to the prior dots, close in level, close in proximity, that's a pretty strong exhaustion level. And you could look for those. Here's a case where it did not land on the third dot, which is kind of rare. It landed on the second dot. But either one of those dots would have made for a nice short. The second set of dots in proximity, close to proximity and price level to the one just to the left. And if you look for those, you'll find some really nice setups with good odds. So it's a unique way to use the different indicators. And you could put these dots, if you have Counterpunch, you could put the dots on the chart and just turn off the setups. So the way I have this set up here on this chart is I've got my Counterpunch calculator and indicators on it, but I come down and just turn off the white, green, and purple trades. And you can do that with Counterpunch Express also. And so then you have your nice exhaustion dots, and it gives you a really good visual where you can see the this sort of resistance and support level. So you can learn a lot from a chart like this. So waiting until 8:34, there was this quick little setup here that may have got you into trouble. It might have been a loser. It was a loser visually. Not sure if it was something you could have executed. Yeah, you only had like 3 seconds, so I don't think so. So that's the non-trade. And then you get this one, which would have been the first trade of the morning. And you could see that that one did really nicely. It almost got to target 3, not quite. So again, I'm interested in this type of chart where you have an offset of 1/3. And there's some nice movement. And if you look for those types of proximities of the exhaustion dots here, you could also put Counterpunch on. I mean, you don't have to use Catapult. Counterpunch would also work. You'd have different targeting and different stops, which could be very useful. Could save you on some trades, but it's a versatile approach. Again, the exhaustion dots that are close to each other, this would have been a green trade on Counterpunch. You could see how Catapult came a little early again, but you could see how the closeness and proximity and price level gave you a really great setup bar there. And again, that could have been a Counterpunch trade also. And if you know, Counterpunch is super accurate. Look at target 3. So interesting, huh? You can do a lot with this. You can learn it. You can learn a method. You could teach yourself a style of trading with a chart like this. It takes a little, you'll have to work on it. But if you wait for the high percentage setups, you could eliminate a bunch of noise. And you could also use trend lines, because one of the things that you could do with these types of charts is draw support and resistance levels and just work around them, because this really shows them to you. And then finally, just to finish, what I'm telling you is that whenever you see a bar that stabs up through your moving average and then gets rejected and closes lower, that's a pretty bearish bar. And you're going to see those, or bullish. And when you see that kind of bar, that's another bar that could be traded off of, I think, with a lot of good effect. And something else you could learn. So there's a few different stylistic things you could learn with this chart and with these indicators to kind of create your own way of trading. Here again, the second set of exhaustion dots, close in price and proximity to the one to the left, sets up a nice move lower. You can see that a lot. So, the tools are in your toolbox to be used. And as you become better and better at what you do, and you start to understand better what the tools can do for you, you find ways to make money in the markets. We're always looking for an edge, right? We're always looking for ways to make money. You don't have to follow the dots on the chart. You can use the tools in a way that makes sense to you. Make it your own. And these are techniques that you can learn. They don't always work. You're only trying to put the odds on your side. Here's that bar I told you about right there, just formed. Obviously, it happens quick, so you practice. Maybe not the tallest wick. I usually like a wick that's a little bit longer. This one here. Markets have just been crazy on fire right now. We have a lot of fast market conditions that make it difficult to trade. I mean, this is a 6-point bar and it's just flying around super fast. Look at the volume, over 500,000 contracts already on the micro NQ. Crazy, huh? There's that bar again. Let me know if you have any questions. And if you're just joining, I did have to jump on a secondary computer this morning, having some work done on my main computer. Just wasn't, something's wrong with it. So I don't have the exact same charts on this one as I did on the other one, but pretty much. Different microphone, different everything. Hopefully it's coming through clear. I think some of you said it was. If you don't mind, please hit the like button. Always helps. The YouTube algorithms. The long trade on the pound Aussie canceled. Anyone who's interested in that. Yeah, thanks, John. So these custom Rankos, definitely trying to find a solution for those of you using NinjaTrader. So I might as well let the cat out of the bag. I am working on a catapult Russell Mini. It's been a lot of work, but it's I never want to release something that I'm not happy with, and I have to say I'm starting to become very happy. So that's kind of cool. One of the things that makes me happy is when I can come up with a control chart that is difficult to break. And so I want to show you this. That's pretty wild, right? The thing that makes it even more wild is look at how many trades that is. It's over 15,000 trades. 15,000 trades dating all the way back to June. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it indicates a lot of robustness. And this is the micro. So that's kind of interesting as well. Works good on the full size, of course. Full size being only $50 a point, $5 a tick. But the micro is $5 a point, 50 cents a tick. So you could really scale and get your contracts, your position size tuned up, especially with Catapult. This is a Catapult control chart that I'm working on. Pretty interesting. And just to give you an idea, what I'm working with here, still got a lot of work to do. It's not ready for prime time, but it's getting there. And the thing that really got me interested in it was how the volume, I don't know if you remember when the micros first came out, but the volume on the Russell was not good. Well, that's changing before our very eyes. And I'm not even sure if this is the best chart, just to show you kind of what it's looking like. looks similar to that NQ chart, but look at the 113,000 contracts. You can expect that to grow, but that's certainly enough. I mean, we could focus on the micro Russell, and I mean, it really looks nice. And maybe this isn't even the right bar to use. This is a 1.5 point with a 5 tick offset, 1/3, like the NQ. But you could do the similar idea with what I showed you on the NQ with the exhaustion dots and the type of bar that is often money in the bank. If you could identify them and trade off them, you can just see them, especially if they follow a green bar where they flip. And the ones that stab through our line have even better odds. But I mean, this is basically every trade. I'm not using there's no power of quitting or nothing. I think it was every trade between 8:30 and 8:30 in the morning and midnight. Imagine that. So it's evenings, nighttime. And that's always a good sign. Not sure if you guys are getting a chance to look at this long enough, because I know there's a little bit of a delay from what I show you and what appears. But I'm excited about it. Watch it a bit here. I got to get rid of all these labels. They're kind of annoying. JDS, good question. How does a range bar compare to a Renko bar? Renko bars are range bars, but they're just different. I mean, you should do a little homework on what a Renko bar is. Renko means brick. It's a Japanese word. And there's different types of Renko bars. This particular one is a custom Renko bar, which I find to be much more useful than a regular Renko bar. Yeah, I'm probably not the best person to try to explain to you the difference between it. They're both range bars, but if you do a little Google search on Renko, you'll probably get a better definition. You can see they look different, right? With TradeStation, whoops, you get a few different types of Renko bars. You've got a classic Renko bar, a mean Renko bar, and a custom Renko bar. So we're using the custom version. So the brick size is 1.5 points, and that's the range bar part of it. That's where every brick is 1.5 points. And then the offset, you can see how the offset is 5 ticks, and that's where your open and close are offset from the one prior by 5 ticks. But as far as the mechanics of how it works, etc., you're better off Googling it, because I'm more interested in flipping the light switch on than learning why the lights come on. That's just how I am. I don't get too bogged down in the nitty gritty of the science behind it. I'm more visual. Anyway, there's that. Here's the 10 a.m. Mini session trade on crude. Actually, it went just past our start time. 10 a.m. now. This trade happened too soon, so we'll have to wait. Nice trade there. See if I can get rid of yeah, that got rid of some of the noise. So you might wonder why you have this curve that just seems to reach up to the stratosphere, and when you see it happening before your very eyes, you realize. So couple losses in here, and then a winner, a loser, winner, 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 winner. So you end up getting a lot of consecutive winners. Again, this isn't ready for prime time. This is really just meant as a control. And then from here, trying to tune it up to reduce the number of trades and increase the numbers on everything. But you can just see that that's actually works really well. I'm not exactly, and the money management's not right, because I'm never going to have a trade that wins and loses the way this is showing. So again, much work to do, but it's getting there, and it's showing signs of robustness. There's flaws with the automation as usual too, because it requires a bar to close. So you have to get the entry and stop set up in a way that they both don't get hit at the same time, because the automation isn't going to know what happens first or what happens second, because it's all within the same bar. So there's stuff like that that has to get cleaned up on this, but I'm working on it. JDS, you can play with the keeping them level. I mean, you could use a regular Renko bar. There's certainly options. I've just found that the offset works really nicely. And it maybe doesn't even have to be a 1/3 offset. You could try a 1/2 offset. I mean, really, the sky's the limit. It's just a matter of finding the right combination. If it works, it works. That's the thing that matters. One thing that a lot of traders like about the bars at offset is you get these really nice, clean looking trending moves. So it helps clean up noise. You can really see the trends and the consolidations, stuff like that. But I mean, obviously, it's not the only way to trade. It's just a style. One of the things I like to see are the action, reaction, subsequent action. And you can see those really well. Action, reaction. And then you got your catapult or counterpunch setup, giving you a subsequent action move. where this subsequent action move tends to mirror the prior action move. So this is the kind of chart that makes that very visual. It's always nice. You can see different sizes of that happening too. It's not for everybody. Some people don't like these charts, but you get used to them. Here's what I showed you a little while ago, where the proximity of the exhaustion dots. Yeah, the markets are just moving so fast, but you see how this proximity it's close to the prior set in distance and price range, and that gave a nice short down. So you can just focus on that sort of pattern and practice trading just that. Definitely shows you the choppy consolidation too. You really see it. So you see something like this, wait to see if you get another set of exhaustion dots that's close to the one prior, like what I've been showing you. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And if it does, you try to take advantage of it. Markets are just moving really fast right now. And this is the NQ, by the way, not the Russell. Up to 600,000 contracts already. You can slow this down. You can go to it. Let's see what happens. Obviously, this is super fast. Let's go ahead and look at a slower chart. By the way, the full Russell E-mini with 86,000 contracts is trading with less volume than the micro, which is up to 127,000 contracts. That's interesting to me. The micros are growing in popularity, and for good reason. It's a lot easier to take advantage of scaling in and out, different targets. So this is moving so fast. Fast market conditions. Markets are not always like this. But let's go ahead and try. Let's go with a 9 brick, 9 points with a 3 offset. Slow this down a bit. Of course, it'll make for larger trades. Let's check out how it would have done this morning. You can definitely see when the support starts showing up and they get these consolidations here, and then the breakouts that happen after. So finding the best way to trade those breakouts can lead to some really great trades. I haven't looked at this size chart, so I don't really have a feel for it. One thing about the larger chart is the risk reward ratios are way more in your favor. Just checking out. Yeah, it's still moving super fast. So nearly 1-to-1, nearly a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio to target 1. So the way I've got these targets set up is that you've got big risk reward ratios, which helps you offset losses really quickly, especially when you start going to targets 2, 3, and 4. I'm not convinced that the entry and stop are at the right place for a chart this large. $75, $47. Yeah, don't know. Definitely need to work on that. But you can see that target 4 right there. It's better than a 3-to-1, R to R. So you could use a similar chart like this on crude oil as well. You might try a 9 tick range with a 3 tick offset. I guess you can go with the 8 tick and maybe try a 4 tick offset, which would be a 50% offset. You can try it, see what that looks like. Yeah, JDS, you're gonna have to read up on the custom Renko. That's what the custom Renko does. The custom Renko shows you where the price traveled, but it didn't travel far enough to paint the brick. So the way a Renko works, this being a 9-point Renko, is you need price action to give you 9 points from high to low. With a traditional Renko bar, you're never going to know if the price went beyond the brick or not, because it's not going to print that on the chart. It's only going to print the actual brick when there's a 9-point range, and then the brick opens, a new brick opens. But you don't see where the price went beyond the brick if it was less than that 9-point range. But the custom Renko shows you where the price traveled. It never traveled far enough to complete a 9-point bar. So taking this one here, for example, the price traveled down a little bit, but didn't go 9 points from the high of the bar. So no brick forms. But the tails show you where the price traveled to. And that's what makes these charts very unique and useful. So if you put on a regular Renko, you're never going to see where the price actually traveled to. You're only going to see the brick when it closes. You know the price was inside that brick, but you don't know how many ticks beyond the brick it traveled. So you have to make sure with a regular Renko that your entries, targets, and stops are always on the border, high or low, of the brick. Otherwise, it's impossible to know what happened if you're testing. Obviously, if you're watching it live, you know. So you see how the price moved up and the wick shows you where the price moved, but until the brick goes the full range that it's supposed to, 9 points, that wick is just showing you where the price was. See, now it may move down 9 points, and then that wick will stay there, showing you that the price did travel. You see? That's what those are. Look at our M2K chart. Watch the volume number and you'll see how fast those contracts are flying through the system there. Just got to 135. I mean, 100,000 contracts, or 1,000 contracts, I should say, is happening like within seconds. So from 700, 135,000, actually those are 100 contracts. 1,000 contracts every minute or two is what it seems like. Maybe less. Yeah, just got up to 136,000. It's just really fast market. These are unusual market conditions. Yeah, give it a try. I mean, pull up those charts if you got them and see what you think. I think there's a lot of opportunity. Learn how to use them. This trade just finishing here. So that trailer from 2191.7 started at 2177.5, 77 to 91. I mean, that was like a 14-point trade, 14-point runner. Any other questions about anything? Anything you guys want to check out? So after that sell-off, the markets are definitely rallying hard. The YM's up over 500 points this morning. The NQ, it's up 90, almost 100 points, getting on close to 100 points. Pretty big rally here. Well, I think the micros are popular because smaller traders can trade them for one, and I think people are recognizing the benefit of being able to. You could trade more contracts. I mean, 10 micros equals one mini. So anyone who is trading a mini, who trades one contract, would trade a micro with 10 contracts. So I think it's pretty easy to see why it's gaining in popularity. Well, and flexibility too. I mean, you could trade smaller. They're much smaller instead of like with the NQ, a $20 per point. $20 per point. It's only $2 a point. So you got a lot of smaller traders that could trade it and afford it. And then you have anyone who's larger who could just trade much larger size with more flexibility on scaling out. And if you're trying to put 2% of your capital on a trade, for example, it's much easier to do with a micro because you can get the proper amount of contracts to really get close to that risk parameter that you set for yourself. There's a lot of reasons to like it, for sure. And I think people are catching on to it. By the way, there's a micro Ethereum and a micro Bitcoin, and those are interesting. They haven't begun to catch on in popularity, but like the micro Bitcoins traded 22,000 contracts already. So it's a way to trade Bitcoin up and down where you just don't buy. You could literally trade the swings up and down with on the CME, reputable exchange with futures. The Ethereum just came out. I think today might be the first trading day. So you have a full size Ethereum contract. I mean, that's not gaining in popularity. It's only 3,000 contracts. But you also have the micro. I was reading up on it. The micro is the MTE, I think. Let me just. What's the symbol on the micro? Micro Ether. MET. MET? Let me see if I can pull it up. So some crypto choices, and if they gain in popularity, that's going to be really interesting. Yeah, so there's a micro Ether, and I think today might be the first trading day. Not sure. It's going to take time. I mean, it's only been 57 contracts traded, so, but that's how things start. People want to trade crypto, and there's a way to do it where you could literally short, go long, you can go short. You only really need one or two good charts. I mean, just get really good at your chart. You don't have to trade everything. You'll do much better just learning the way a certain chart trades, how it looks and feels, and getting used to its various rhythms, because there'll be days when it's slow also, and some days when it's just super fast. Like right now, we're practically in fast market conditions. It makes trading very hard. I mean, you have to be really good with your executions. You have to have real fast internet. You're going to pay a lot of slippage if you're not careful. It's always a challenge, right? Trading's never easy. And the time element, the kind of aspect of trading that you don't think about until you're in there doing it and you're learning it on the job with real money on the line type of thing. The time element is a challenge unto itself. You don't see it when you're looking back on the chart later. You see the trades, but you don't experience the time. Whether it took a long time or was super fast, both present challenges. So it really requires a certain level of practice and getting that 25 in a row without a mistake, and all the steps I always talk about. They all play an important role to helping you succeed and giving you an edge and a leg up over most of the other traders out there that don't bother with those kind of techniques. We saw the 40-something thousand contracts on the micro crude. It's up to 52,000, much slower. But still, if you want to trade crude, the micro has enough volume. I mean, at 50,000 contracts, you can do it. On the full-size crude, that's up to 200,000, 213,000. So the micro is about a quarter of that. Well, it's growing, and it's certainly tradable. Leery about cryptos? I mean, it depends on what you mean by leery. I mean, the way the trends are going, the world's moving to crypto. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to stop it. Governments might try. But like, you got ETFs now starting. If you could trade crypto up and down just like anything else, then you're trading only. So I don't know what you'd be leery about. If you're trading futures on the CME, what different? I don't really care what the symbol is. If you have the patterns on the chart that make you money, you're going to get in, you're going to get out, you're going to be done. So who cares what it is? That's how I always look at it. Now, if you're investing, that's another issue. But the trend is up, up, up. I mean, as volatile as Bitcoin has been, the trend is up. And there's no sign of it going down. I mean, there's only so many of them. So supply and demand is what it is. Now, if nobody wants it anymore, all of a sudden, but remember, every time it drops in price, you got everyone else jumping in, scooping it up, buying it. So what's going to cause everyone to not want it anymore? It has a pretty big following all around the world. You have a lot of money invested in it. You have billionaires holding it. I don't know. I mean, what's there to be leery about? You'd be leery about anything. Are you leery about crude oil because the world's moving towards cleaner energy? I'm just asking you this rhetorically, JDS. I don't know enough about it. No one knows what the future has in store. Everyone's, that's what trading is. It's always just taking your best guess, making a trade, trying to stack the odds on your side, and come out on the positive side of that end of that transaction. That's what trading is, right? So at the right edge of the chart, tell me any trade on any market on any chart that you're not leery about, right? Again, just a rhetorical comment, just to kind of put things in perspective. Just saying. And since you did ask me what I think, well, I just kind of opened up a compartment in my brain and shared some of the contents of what I think with you just now. All right, guys, that just about does it for me. Just wait a moment longer, see if there's any final questions before we end the session. Don't forget, John will be in here tomorrow. I'll be back on Wednesday, John on Thursday, our typical schedule. And please don't forget to hit the like button. I have to constantly remind myself I'm on YouTube. I got to hit the like button for me. Really appreciate it. All right, John, glad you enjoyed it. If you guys got Catapult Trader, it's easy to pull up a custom Renko chart if you're on TradeStation. If you're on NinjaTrader, might take a little doing. I know there's a way to do it. I'm trying to figure out the easiest way. Maybe some of you know already. If so, please share it in the Trade Hacking Club on Discord. If you guys aren't on the Trade Hacking Club, you can easily join. It's free. You'll see the link in the notes here of this session. JDS true, just traded another chart no matter what it's called. Yeah, I mean, you need to be leery when you put your money on the line. You're at the right edge of the chart. You don't know what's going to happen next. You can't control what's going to trade. Remember, trading's not the same as investing. Totally different. Got to think about different things when you're investing than when you're trading. I'm not terribly interested about trading the cryptos yet, but I am keeping an eye on it because I know there's a lot of people that are interested. And if you can use something like Counterpunch Trader, for example, which will work, you could put Counterpunch on the micro Bitcoin chart, for example, a micro Bitcoin chart with 22,000 contracts traded so far is totally tradable. And Counterpunch doesn't care what the symbol is. Yeah, John. Or I'll show you in here. It's not something I've thoroughly tested, so I'm not like, maybe that is actually a good thing for trade hacking. It needs to be hacked some more. You know what I mean? But I'll be happy to show you like what I've got here on the NQ. It's definitely different. Bigger targets, bigger entry and stop. Obviously, range-bound trading is always going to be an issue, but one of the things you can do is draw lines and support and resistance lines and try to avoid getting caught up in some of the up, down, up, down, up, down. And you could always expect that after a strong move, right? So you got the strong move up. So you got to also know how markets move. They trend and then they consolidate. So you got to always be mindful of that. Trends just don't go up forever. Just a little common sense can help you filter out some of the noise. But yeah, John, I'll do that. All right, everyone have a wonderful day. Appreciate you being here. John will be here tomorrow, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Have a great day, everybody.